defense lived up to what they've been saying. One thing I really liked, so I asked Miller after the game, I said to him, you got a really unique perspective. You've now seen the, from the quarterback position, you've seen the defense last year as opposed to this year. You've seen through the whole camp. And I asked him point blank, what's the difference? He said, well, there were a lot more wide open guys last year, meaning that through camp, what they've been talking about is that they've been really pushing consistency. Some of these teams, the Grinch defenses, is sure, they'd get lots of turnovers, they'd flash here or there, but then the next play they're giving up a wheel route to Vaki for 70 yards, or something like that. It was just a mess. You heard Doug Belk, who's a new cornerback coach. I asked him at practice. I said, what over everything else, what are you looking for from your corner? Because it's a pretty talented cornerback room. And he said, I'm looking for consistency. When you talk to Lincoln Riley about one of the new freshmen, like coming out of nowhere from St. John Bosco, Celis Williams, first thing he says, he's got an uncanny ability for a true freshman to be consistent and not give up the big play. Maybe not make every play, maybe not be the right, but he's not giving up anything big. He's consistent. His bad plays aren't catastrophic. And it's just been a theme I've seen. We don't get to see a lot of 7-on-7. This is the first time we saw, like with the bullets, and I do mean this in air quotes, right? This is not real football for a spring game, but the defense, there's a lot of talent out there, especially at the corner. We knew our safety room was going to be deep, but the cornerbacks, they're all 6'2", they're all physical. And I think I counted like maybe 2 busted coverages the entire day. So, I mean, after watching USC's defense last year, it's quite a difference. It was a stark, marked difference. Cameron Fountain, the true freshman end, he was amazing. The defensive end, kid's just a monster, quick, just quick get off, super strong. Bear Alexander was in sweats. He did not participate. So now it's more, we thought it was more the mini camp holdout to get NIL. Turns out maybe he was actually injured during this whole drama act, but he didn't participate. They did tackling for some, but they did some thudding as well. Riley just basically said all the coaches got together and said, hey, look, our numbers are a bit weak right now. We don't want any more injuries. So they did pull it back a little bit. But the reason why they're banged up is because they've been going physical. He said our practices and our scrimmages have been full contact, and we have been physical. It's one of the big themes as well they had was physicality, because USC's defense was soft last year. So again, physicality and consistency is what they're looking at. And if you're a USC fan, or if you just watched USC football last year and watched the defense, this team needed physicality and it needed consistency.
So, Tim, you had a pretty good look at this football team today. That's awesome. So you can catch Tim's work at Trojans Wire, also Matt Zemek, and of course, they get together every Friday night here at the Voice of College Football on our USC channel for Conquest call-in show. And then you get Tim, you get Matt, you get myself on Monday nights at 10 Eastern. That's at 7 Pacific time on Monday nights. So that's the next time we get together, Tim, Matt, and myself, to break down USC football. When you're down there on the field and you get to see the athletes up close, you mentioned the 6'2" cornerbacks, and that wasn't a thing largely for the last, era of USC football. Is there anyone who overly impresses you just from a physical standpoint, whether that's size, speed, athleticism? And again, folks, if you've never had the experience of standing on a college football field or an NFL field, which I've been fortunate enough to do, you get just the violence of the game, the athleticism, the size of these guys, all of that just is pretty remarkable.
It's almost like if anybody's ever watched hockey on TV, and then you go to your first hockey game, you actually see that these huge dudes on ice and how quickly they move. It's kind of like it is kind of remarkable. That's the first thing I can think of. It reminds me of is you just don't realize how big and how fast these guys actually are when you watch it on television. And we were up close. You're not in the stands. You're like right there on the sidelines. you actually see the impacts and you see how quickly move. This is the small movements, right? That burst, that get off we're talking about in on the line. The way these guys, that's why there's so few of them that are 305, 310 pounds, but move like they're 260, 270, 250. That's a crazy thing to see up close and in person. Zachariah Branch is just a freak. I mean, he's 0 to 60. He's like a Dory Jackson. He's like Reggie Bush. He's like, I'm not saying he is or as good as, he has the potential to be. He said after the game today, he said that actually, they hold, what do they call those things again? Anyway, they were like a vest, and it tracks a lot of their physical stuff. Catapult. Sorry, Michigan, too soon. Right. They do that and they can tell how fast they are. And he was talking about his speeds and they've tracked him as, So when I asked him, are you faster? He said, yeah, I'm faster. So I think that guy's faster is a great sign for USC as well. As far as just big guys that are amazing to watch, like I said, that Cameron Fountain, he's a true freshman. He got around and chased a running back from the backside on a remarkable play. Again, the guy is 6'6", 256. He doesn't run like he's 6'6", 256. He's a true athlete. DeCarlos Nicholson, transfer from Mississippi State. Sorry, not Michigan State. Mississippi State. He 6'3", 195. Just with great hands. There were 3 interceptions. 4 interceptions on the day. So you think, oh wow, the quarterback room is in trouble. It was more just, if you watch the game, physical press coverage, big difference from when we used to see the 10-yard cushions we were seeing under Grinch. These guys are big, their athletes are up front, and they got their hands on and they're playing the ball. I mean, we'll see how it's called in the Big Ten, but they weren't calling it. They had Pac-12 refs out, and believe me, if Pac-12 refs keeping the flag in their pocket, then it's probably not pass interference. So, but it was physical. It was physical. Deuce Robinson looks like he's taking a step up. He's a freak in size, and he had a couple nice passes. And the person I've been telling, if anyone's been watching our show, I've been talking to you guys about Mekhi Lemon. And he made a huge impression on me way back when he was at high school, at Los Alamitos High School, and he played St. John Bosco in a playoff game. They got him playing in the slot, but he's just smooth. He's I dare say, I think he's a more athletic Taj Washington. I'm one of the biggest Taj Washington fans out there. But that's what he kind of reminds me of. He just seems like, not as much in his actual play, it's his ability just to get open and to be that guy on third down or whatever. I think that he's going to be that guy. He's going to have, I believe, he's going to have a pretty prolific season this year. So if you don't know his name now, if you do follow Big Ten or USC football, you're going to know his name by the end of the year.
Tim, who won the battle at the line of scrimmage? Was it generally the offense or the defense?
It was the offense, I think. And I remember Bear wasn't playing. He was out. And they lost Rakes. So that was almost to be but here's the good thing. We knew the left side of the offensive line was going to be solid and strong. But Mason Murphy, a much maligned offensive lineman, he's played all along the line for USC. But he's got a lot of crap from the fans. 6'5", 312. He's still relatively, he's a redshirt junior, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. As he's getting this experience with Henson, he's made some jumps last year, and then a couple of players, Jonah Monheim for one, talked about how he made a leap this year as far as just ability and able to play. So I like that. I like the true freshman Brian Jackson, running back, phenomenal. Quentin Joyner, another guy I'm high on, guy that a lot of people don't know. Just amazing pop to run. Thought he was gonna be gone. They're doing thudding. I think if they had to actually tackle him, he would have been gone. Yeah, lots to, I mean, as much as you can pull from a spring game, Mark. I mean, who knows? Especially also as not full tackling, what a lot of these plays would have looked like in an actual game. But the offensive line, and I like this. Another thing, if you watch USC football last year, the right side of the offense, if you watched especially the Notre Dame game, or if you watched the Washington game, the right side of USC's offensive line was absolute, just bad. It looks like they've shored that up a bit. It really did, because USC does have some pretty good defensive ends. I'm not, they're not the greatest ever to play, but they are solid. They are going to give people fits, and USC's offensive line was able to hold them in check. The inside of the line, again, because of injury and because of Rake's departure, they do need some depth on defensive tackle, for sure, nose tackle especially.
Tim Prangley, Trojans Wire. And you heard Tim say he took 200 or 300 pictures today. So you will see the best of the bunch there at Trojans Wire. So get over there for that. Also, Tim's perspective on what he saw at the spring game. And of course, Matt and Tim on a regular basis covering USC football. So that's on Trojans Wire. And of course, Mondays and Fridays on the USC channel with Tim and Matt, or Tim, Matt, and myself. Mondays, Fridays. So our next stop is Monday. So be there at 7 Pacific time.